War is an absolute use of force, and the only solution for peace seems to be the one that ends in bloodshed. However, it does not matter who wins, because the victims will always be the innocent citizens. There would seem to be no metaphorical bridge between war and citizens, but the truth is quite different, and this bridge bears the name of military interpreter and translator, whose existence dates back to ancient times. Unlike the traditional interpreter and translator, in cases of armed conflict, these men and women put their lives at risk directly on the battlefield to act as authentic diplomats between the different languages and cultures. Translation and interpretation are the main tools thanks to which the parties involved in a conflict can legitimize their version of the events. Moreover, in modern warfare, military operations are coordinated almost exclusively from abroad, often with the need to communicate with the local population, making interpreting crucial. One example is a series of propaganda leaflets from the US military that conveyed a series of messages to Iraqi soldiers and civilians during the Iraq War. In addition, as one might expect, questions may arise about their loyalty and neutrality. Compared to civilian interpreters, the concept of neutrality is far more complex. According to Probitskaya, the words interpreter and impartiality cannot coexist in a war context, or at least not in the way one would expect a civilian interpreter to. Furthermore, word translators and interpreters do not merely play a key role on the battlefield, since they are actual game changers in the equilibrium of any conflict or society. They employ various strategies to reinforce or undermine particular aspects of the narratives they mediate, explicitly or implicitly. These strategies, such as frame ambiguity and labeling, allow them to disassociate themselves from the narrative position of the author or speaker, or alternatively, to signal their empathy with it. Iraq, Bosnia, and Ukraine are just three examples of the many conflicts in which it has been seen that the need for word translators and interpreters. No matter the place or the reason of the conflict, whether it is to annex territory or secure oil possessions, war will never cease to exist, and so will never cease to be needed the providential intervention of local mediators or mediators from countries that are not directly involved in the conflict, as was the case in Bosnia. Unfortunately, in several conflicts, including the one between Iraq and the United States, due to the lack of local native speakers, governments have tried to get soldiers to learn the language of the country where the conflict would take place as quickly as possible, but the training has always proved inadequate, forcing governments to hire contract interpreters and translators. In the case of the Russian-Ukrainian conflict, this linguistic inadequacy has led and continues to lead to huge delays in the development of the war and the aid that can reach Ukraine. In conclusion, corruption, torture, deception, political intrigue, and so much more is what the interpreter in war zones and in situations of social conflict must be prepared to deal with whenever he or she performs his or her job. As Negus Haile Selassie said, throughout history the triumph of evil has been due to the inaction of those who could have done something. Sometimes it happens that in the midst of total evil there can be a small light, a glimmer of hope in humanity, and this glimmer of hope is the men and women who put constantly their lives at risk in the name of a hoped for yet difficult peace.